So what is going on with Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets? That is the question now, isn't it? Because after everything that has been said and done and undone and then redone by KD and the team, it is all so chaotic that no one knows what to think. He wanted to be traded. Then he wanted to stay. Then he gave the team an ultimatum. Then the Boston Celtics were close to getting him. Then they weren't. And now everything seems to be kosher with the team. But can this truly be believed? Or is it just another part of a saga with virtually no end? The attempt to bring him back. The Brooklyn Nets is where we'll start this off. The ongoing drama within the franchise with its stars has been the cause of much of the drama this offseason. Kevin Durant's trade request, his subsequent ultimatum, and the aftermath of that are still being discussed daily around the NBA world. Many believe that after Nets owner Joe Tsai sided with Sean Marks and Steve Nash over KD, the writing was on the wall. But that doesn't seem to be the case. ESPN's Brian Windhorst has suggested that it's not what the franchise wants. He explained that the way the Nets have been acting is signaling that they wish to give it another shot with the team they have. Right now, I think the Nets want to run this team back, and they're hoping Kevin Durant agrees, said Brian Windhorst. The way they're conducting trade talks and the prices they are asking has teams out there thinking that they really don't want to trade Kevin Durant anyway. They want to bring this team back. We'll see if Kevin Durant goes along with that in training camp. That's what I think the team wants. I think the team thinks the results on the court will make everybody feel a bit better. But I just can't get a good feel on where Kevin Durant is. He's been asked to be traded and told no, so far at least. He's asked for the coach to be fired. He has asked for the general manager to be fired. He keeps getting told no. Does he take all of those no's and still show up to training camp? That's something I think we'll have to wait and watch. It's because of KD that all of this started happening and continued to happen, not the least of which was because of the ultimatum. In a face-to-face meeting with Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai a while back, Kevin Durant reiterated his trade request and informed Tsai that he needs to choose between Durant or the pairing of general manager Sean Marks and coach Steve Nash. Sources with direct knowledge of the meeting told The Athletic at the time. Durant stated he does not have faith in the team's direction, sources said at the time. Durant and Tsai spoke in London, and sources described the discussion as transparent and professional. The meeting took place a year to the day that Durant agreed to a 4-year, $198 million contract extension with the Nets, and barely over a month after his initial trade request on June 30th. He is now entering the first season of that extension. The Nets have direct knowledge of the reasons behind Durant's request, sources said, and understand that Durant is believed to want a change of scenery heading into his 16th season. Again, a bit of irony as going to Brooklyn with his friend Kyrie Irving was also meant to be a change of scenery, as well as to help cement his legacy without Steph Curry. Not exactly going the way he expected it to, wouldn't you say? Then again, nothing with the Nets is how it should have gone. State of Brooklyn right now. Across the league, people have wondered whether Durant could miss training camp should no trade develop. After being swept by the Boston Celtics in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, the Nets have been surrounded by uncertainty. In a mid-May news conference, Marks called for the organization to regain its culture. Amid the unknown status of Durant, Kyrie Irving and the Nets were unable to come to terms on a long-term deal. Irving ultimately opted into his $36.5 million option for next season, committing to Brooklyn for 2022-23. This summer, the Nets believe they have improved the roster and have a championship-ready team. The Nets traded for Royce O'Neal, signed TJ Warren, and brought back Patty Mills and Nick Claxton, while awaiting the full returns of three-time All-Star Ben Simmons and Joe Harris. Brooklyn's front office, led by Marks, has set a high price on the Durant market while constructing a team that gives the organization confidence in its ability to contend should the team bring the roster as is into training camp. The Nets are incredibly high on Simmons' return to play following his recovery from back surgery in May, viewing him as a perfect complement around Durant and Irving. But obviously, only time will tell on that front, especially since Simmons, not unlike Kyrie, has been inconsistent in terms of both his play and his loyalty to the teams he's on. So at this point, with all that's going on with these three players, no one can truly know what to expect from Brooklyn next season. Sure, they may want the title, but is that honestly feasible with so much going on within the ranks from top to bottom? Boston and beyond. When Kevin Durant initially made his trade request, two teams were reportedly atop his wish list: the Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat. From the get-go, both teams faced complicated paths to landing the 2014 NBA MVP. The Suns needed to find a way to sign and trade DeAndre Ayton to Brooklyn, which they can no longer do. Miami couldn't send Bam Adebayo to Brooklyn even if it wanted to because league rules prohibit him and Ben Simmons from both playing for the Nets. So, with those two teams now on the back burner, Durant has had to broaden his scope a bit to keep his trade hopes alive. One team that has emerged in recent weeks as a possibility is the Boston Celtics. Reports indicate that they offered a package built around Jaylen Brown. Durant, according to SNY's Ian Begley, viewed Boston as a desirable landing spot. Celtics coach Ime Udoka was an assistant under Steve Nash in Brooklyn during the 2020-21 season before he landed the Celtics job. Durant played with Celtics star Jason Tatum at the 2021 Olympics. Brooklyn appeared to be asking for a package that includes Brown, Defensive Player of the Year Marcus Smart, and multiple draft picks. Boston's initial offer was reportedly Brown, Derek White, and a single first-round pick. That is quite a bit of ground for the two sides to make up in negotiations, but the Celtics are the only team to have thus far put a young star on the table. That puts them in the driver's seat here. That is especially true if Durant continues to pressure the Nets to make a trade. And yet, just when you think that everything is settled, a new twist in the story shows that we still don't understand what's going on here. Staying in Brooklyn? Kevin Durant is staying in Brooklyn, according to a statement from Nets general manager Sean Marks. Coach Steve Nash and I, together with Governors Joe Tsai and Clara Wu Tsai, met with Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman in Los Angeles yesterday, Marks said in a statement. We have agreed to move forward with our partnership. We are focusing on basketball with one collective goal in mind: build a lasting franchise to bring a championship to Brooklyn. According to Caesar Sportsbook, the Nets' odds to win the NBA championship moved from 18-1 to 9-1 after the Nets announced Durant will stay. But don't go and crown them the champs right now, because if you recall, all the experts last year thought the NBA Finals would be the Nets versus the Lakers, and that didn't even come close to happening. Plus, we honestly have no idea how the team will play this upcoming season after all this drama. So let's just wait to see what happens and we'll go from there. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at the Nets and Kevin Durant and how after all that back and forth, KD is likely to stay right where he is? Are you glad that this saga appears to be over so that we can now just focus on basketball? What do you think is going to be the legacy of KD after his time in Brooklyn is over? Do you think the Nets will have a chance at the title this year? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.